Okay, so I want to discuss the principle of circles and triangles. So the actual shapes, some of the shapes that we use in Wing Chun. Yeah, it's pretty much circles, triangles, and straight lines. Although later we do spiraling as well. But for now, I just wanted to discuss circles and triangles. Now, why is that important? Firstly, your Wing Chun stance and guard is a triangular formation. So you triangulate your body and your mind into this triangular prism, so you're like a wedge that can crack through. So the value to that is that, let's say you have some type of guard, is that a triangular prism can wedge in and crack through. So if I have a nice triangular formation, i.e. my guard, and I bring my body mass forward behind it, it makes it very easy to crack, or easier to crack through any type of space. So you use that triangulated formation in that context. Now, first and foremost, you want to triangulate your thinking. Meaning, the idea in your mind is that you have that you are like a triangular prism. So if Carson, where he stands, puts on his stance and guard, perhaps just facing up to that angle for the sake of the video, come forward a little bit, just stay in the middle, thank you. So he has a triangulation of his mind towards this line here, which represents the center of the opponent. Yeah, so first the mind does it. Secondly, your body should be doing it too. So you'll see how the stance and guard, which we've already discussed in prior videos, has a nice triangulated approach so that A, you can crack through. So if Carson goes to step through towards me, that shape should be able to crack through whatever's presented. Now, apart from the kind of ability to crack through and the targeting of the mass and momentum, it's also for striking. So if Carson puts up his Wing Chun guard and he goes to throw a punch to the target, everything from his whole mind and body is triangulated into the target. So, pyramid might be a good term here. You can imagine this is the base of the pyramid and this is the point of the pyramid, right? More so into the actual target itself. So he's triangulating everything into the actual opponent. Now, you've got triangle as a shape, you've got the pyramid concept, which actually is more appropriate probably to say a cone shape, and then the triangular prism of the overall body. So the triangular prism helps you to target everything, right? So the legs, the torso, the head, everything should be triangulated that way, right? Triangular prism. Then the cone or the pyramid would be more so with striking. So it comes in to culminate the body's power into that small point. Because in self-defense, you want to maximize your power through mass, through momentum, through intention, through direction, so that you can inflict an injury to the opponent so that you can go home safely and eat spaghetti with your family, right? So it's not that I'm saying you should go out and just use all your power to bash everyone. No, this is in the right context of needing to actually defend your life or your loved ones. So coming back to it, we triangulate it with the concept of the triangular prism. You triangulate it in the concept of the cone for striking, but that also applies in the context of defending as well. And that's quite natural in the sense that, for example, Carson might be using a dice out. There's a triangulation of power from his body through to the center, and sometimes even to the center of the striking point as well. Meaning, as Carson goes to strike me here, if there's a great amount of pressure, I can be triangulated to this and triangulated to him. So I'm triangulated to strike here, but there's a triangulation here as well, so that I have support for my structure. So triangles make up a big component of the Wing Chun defending and attacking kind of concepts. Now, if we look now at circles, which work in collaboration with our triangles, that's very much in the way we move. Pretty much all of the movements are circular. Even, for example, the center line punch. Now, you'd think, okay, wait a second, that's a straight line, isn't it? But yes, but if you look at it overall from the origin, it's not exactly. Because if you take it in relationship with my shoulder joint, you'll see that this is more like a circle, right? And it moves in a circular way because of the actual origin joint, which is the shoulder joint, which is an actual ball and socket joint. So you have a ball with a stick on the end, which sits in a socket, and that ball joint moves. So pretty much all of your arm movements do have a circular nature. And when you can align with that circular nature, you can increase the amount of power that can be generated by using the natural movement of the structural skeletal system. So, if I extend my arm here, yes, it looks like a straight line with the fist, but essentially it's a circle which gets bigger. So you can think of this now as the base of a giant circle, if that makes sense. So it starts off a smaller circle, which then gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like the base of a big circle. Now, you can see the obviousness of this circular nature with things like Bong Sao. You can see the circle there. Or even Gan Sao, you see this circle here. If you look at the movement of the elbow, you'll naturally see circles as well. Even Tan Sao is a circle. Fuk Sao, there are circles. There's circles everywhere. You know, and the way, or even in Luk Sao and Chi Sao, as you do Luk Sao, you can see the natural circles in our arms, or even in you going into Chi Sao, you're looking at the way the different circles move and rotate in the body. So circles essentially are the natural way your body wants to move. But we want to bring our awareness to that and start to utilize it consciously so we can actually activate the power of these circular structures. Could you grab that hoop over there?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So let's take an example now so you can see what I mean more from like a practical level. If we look at, for example, the Tan Sao shape here, right? And let's say Carlson has some pressure put on like a Fuk Sao, okay? Fuk Sao, okay? So his pressure is on the outside of my circle here. So here's the outside of my circle, yeah? The pressure is coming to the outside of the circle. Now, from here, this circle can naturally roll off and redirect his pressure quite easily, as long as I'm actually conscious of that and using it in that format. If I don't actually set up my structure to work in a good circular way, for example, I tense my shoulder and I try to push to Carlson, then as I try to roll through my bong tape, it puts pressure on me, more pressure, then it's not actually going to work in a good circular fashion because I'm breaking the shape through my own tension. Whereas if I center and sense my structure and I use this circle here as more pressure, it's going to be quite easy for me to roll and use that circular shape to deflect the incoming pressure. So you can see that operate here. If, for example, there's a lot of pressure or a strike coming in towards me here, we can use this circular nature to roll off the incoming force. It's not to say that you do this in a fight, it's just that you're able to deal with pressure by rolling it away, which can then be expanded into striking conditions if need be. So circles are within each movement used in a both an offensive nature, but also very much so defensively. Can you grab the red ball? So very much so in Wing Chun, we're looking to cultivate the circular nature of the movements, right? In order to create this kind of defensive shield in front of us, which can naturally spin forces away. So you'll see that, you know, this is similar to Tan, Bong, and even here the Fuk Sao, the Fuk Sao shape rolling up and down. So you're through your intention in your mind and through the sensation of your structure directed towards your opponent, you set up this circular defensive shield, which works in conjunction with the triangles that we were talking about earlier. So essentially, if Carlson puts his stance on and he's got his hands in that ball shape, kind of like a circle here, then this demonstrates the nature, not how you use it in combat. You're not going to be like, you want to fight me? Yeah? Just the nature of the way your shapes should roll under duress or pressure. So if Carlson keeps this circular nature on, right? So he doesn't collapse this space. He centers, senses, and aims at me. So there's a robustness to his structure. And as I put pressure on that structure, maintain symmetry, don't bend your spine, then this can roll. Yeah? This can roll. This can roll. So you can see the circular nature in effect here. How it rolls and redirects pressure that comes in towards it. Yeah? So you can see how that works on a defensive level as well. As pressure comes in, it can roll and spin that force away. Now that doesn't mean it's going to need to be a really big rotation. It could just be a minute rotation which takes the pressure away from you as well. And that would be enough to be able to allow you to strike through. So that's a bit of the theory and concepts of the shapes of the triangles and the circles in Wing Chun, or more specifically the triangular prism, cone, and sphere of Wing Chun. But we also do use them in a linear style as well. But you get the idea. It's the shapes, the triangles, and the circles which make up the foundations of the Wing Chun power, from a structural perspective. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, chuck them into the community, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.